All right, so let's learn about arrays. Arrays in Rust. Cosmic rays, cosmic arrays. So what are arrays and what are they in Rust? So array is a collection of objects of the same type, which we say denote as T, stored in contiguous memory. All right, and contiguous, it's just a fancy way of saying they're collected. They're stored collectively. Okay, so arrays are created using brackets, as we're going to see. And also their length is known at compile time. It's actually part of their type signature. So you get the type and the length, as we're going to see when we instantiate them with their data type as opposed to just instantiating them as arrays. Okay, so let's define arrays. So arrays consist of sequential memory blocks, all right? Hence they are contiguous. Arrays are static, meaning that they cannot be resized once initialized. Important to note. However, of course, we can mutate arrays, so don't get confused. Each memory block represents an array element, right? So each individual element, and the element is located at its index value. Okay, and we're going to see that as well. Array elements are identified by the index. Array element values can be updated or modified, so they can be updated or modified. But they cannot be deleted. All right, that's always an important thing to consider. You do not remove, you cannot remove those blocks, right? So you cannot remove those blocks. So it cannot be resized once initialized. All right, we can change it. We can change the values. But let's take a look. You know, talk is cheap. Let's put some code down. So array example. So we're going to do our favorite thing, which is make our function. We love making our function. So if I want to instantiate an array data type style, I could say let array, and then I bring in the colon, you know, just very similar like we were doing with tuples. But instead of parentheses, we're using brackets, square brackets to be precise. And within here, we can bring in our type, and our length, right? So let's say we want an array with a bunch of string values. We could do and string, and we could have a length of 4. And now we can actually set this, we can set up what these strings we want to be in the array. So to do that, we're going to bring in the brackets, and we're going to put in our quotations. And let's say we have the cast of Seinfeld. So we have Jerry, we got Georgie boy, we got Elaine, Laney, and Kramer. All right, so we got our 4 main characters from Seinfeld. Now, if we want to access and print this out, well, we could just print it out. We can say println, right, macro, and we can pass it in as an argument. So we can say the cast of Seinfeld consists of, and we'll bring in our argument, and we'll pass an array. All right, let's go ahead and run this code and see what happens. So run the code in your compiler. And then to print the array, we just do our regular schmegular print, and we can say the cast of Seinfeld consists of, and then since we have multiple variables stored in the array, we want to bring in that same signature of the colon in question, all right, and then pass in the array like we did with the tuple. Okay, so let's do that and run the code, compiling. Oh, and I see we're getting an error, and we see line 28. Expected one of a different type of symbol here for parsing the array in let array and string, comma. Oh, okay, so this should not be a comma. When we're defining the data type, we should be using a semicolon because that's the syntax of Rust, so that's my fault. So we're going to switch this to semicolon, and we're going to rerun the code. And here we go. We see the cast of Seinfeld consists of Jerry, George, Elaine, and Kramer. So when we write our array out for defined data type, we want to separate the length as its own statement. And the first name is going to be and string, and we use a semicolon, not a comma. Okay. All right, very good. So there you go. So that's an array working. Let me show you, let's just comment this out. Let me just show you another format to write the array. If you don't want to explicitly declare the type, you don't have to. You can also write let array equal, and then just put this in. And Rust will default the type here to string and to the size of 4. So I could also run this code this way. And we see we're going to get the same result. The cast of Seinfeld consists of Jerry, George, Elaine, and Kramer. Okay, very good. Well, we can also fetch the size of the array too. We can get the size of the array. We can also say print ln. The array consists of, or the array total length is, we could do array.length, oops, like that. We can print this. And we see the array's total length is 4, which makes sense because we have 4 elements. 4 elements, okay? Now, can arrays be mutable? Yes, we said we can modify. So if we're going to modify this array, let's say, what would we have to do? Well, we would have to add the mut value. So we add the mut keyword. And now it's mutable. So if I wanted to actually change the value of Elaine, let's say we wanted to put her full name, we could do array at the index value of 2, because it would be 0, 1, 2. And we can change it. We can change it to Elaine Benes. All right? And we can run this code now. And we're going to see that the cast of Seinfeld consists of Jerry, George, Elaine Benes, and Kramer. Okay? So very cool. Okay, so we can actually mutate the array as well. Now Rust also has an iter function, an iterative function, if we want to fetch all the values of the array, which is handy to have. So how does the iter function work? Well, it runs like a loop, and it's going to get us the values. For, and this could be anything, so we'll say for value in array, and now we're going to access from array the iter function, and here we can print value is, and we can pass the value, and if we run the iter function of the array, take a look what we get. We see value is George, value is Jerry, value is George, value is Elaine Benes, and value is Kramer. So that's a handy way to loop and just grab the values of the array and then do something with those values if you want. And that's quite a bit on arrays. Hopefully this is nice and clear and straight to the point. You know, we can access arrays, we can change, modify the data in the arrays. We have this iterative value. We have 2 ways here for us to instantiate arrays, and we have some important definitions regarding memory block and how we should be defining these terms programmatically. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Let's stop right here. Make sure you understand the material, and whenever you're ready, I'm going to challenge you a little bit more in the next exercise. Okay. All right, I'll see you for that whenever you're ready. Bye-bye.